Hello, everyone. As you know, these monthly webinars are part of our 50th celebration here at ESS. My name is Sherry, and I'm the Customer Success Manager at ESS, and I'm excited to welcome you all today. So this month, as you know, we're honored to have our partner with us presenting on Infor IoT. Ben and Kyle from Prophecy will be leading the session, and we're excited to have them share their expertise with us. So throughout the webinar, feel free to drop your question in the chat, and I'll be keeping an eye on them, and I will pass them along to Ben and Kyle. So without further ado, let's get it started. Over to you, Ben and Kyle.
Thank you very much. Hi, everyone. I'm Kyle. I'm with the Prophecy team. On the client solutions side, we're talking with many clients about different ways to solve their problems. And my colleague, Ben.
Yes, very nice to be here today, Kyle. Look forward to sharing what Prophecy can do to help some manufacturing.
Okay. So a little bit about us, just where we're coming from, not only geographically, but also experience-wise. For me, I'm actually from northern Michigan, above the 45th. You look behind me, that's actually the Northern Lights out of the backyard of my house. So a great spot up there in the country. Experience-wise, I do have 15 years of operations management experience. Been around many areas, a lot of machine shops. Actually, 10 of those have actually been with Cloud Suite Industrial and the production scheduling side. So, definitely as we talk Prophecy today as it relates to production, might reference some of my stories in the past. Also on the engineering IT. So as we look at how this all plays together, Prophecy is a great fit as we're looking at many of these issues surrounding those areas. On the side, I do like woodworking and music, so I may get a couple of stories from that as well. And Ben, a bit about yourself?
Absolutely. Same part of the country as Kyle, just a little bit farther south, but middle of America, Midwest, Ohio. But yeah, my experience has all been in working with softwares that help manufacturing plants. Worked in manufacturing plants for 15 years and now working with Prophecy, IoT, but the focus has always been how do we get the data? How do we take the data to make operations run more effectively and better?
Well, thank you very much. I'm just going to turn my camera off quick, just save a little bit of bandwidth for me. So as we're talking today, we want to start with something that might relate with all of you, and I call it the manufacturing dilemma. So I've encountered this plenty of times as a production manager. And so the dilemma is an operator will clock in, 8 o'clock in the morning. They'll start a job and they'll clock out at 3 p.m. And there's a big gap of what happened. And typically, as a production manager, you find out the next morning what happened. And that's not the pace that businesses need to operate these days. We need to be a much faster responsive. So as we look at what may have happened in that 7 hours, some of it could have been some setup time. Operators when they're actually working that setup, something that you may want to track and improve upon. May have gone off the break, which was scheduled, but breaks sometimes can run long. Talking about the hockey game or whatever it might be, they get running the parts. Maybe a tool breaks. Maybe they have to stop and work on that. They make some parts, maintenance comes over, works on the machine, have some scrap. All that is part of that 7-hour block that you may or may not know about it until much later than it actually happens. So let's just say, for example, that's about half an hour of downtime from break, another hour and a half of downtime for the breakages and maintenance, and actually 5 hours of actual production. So what we want to help you do is let's gather the full picture of what happens during this production cycle. Now, as we talk about capturing this information, it reminds me of a quote. If you're in the operations realm, you may recognize Dr. Deming. So he has a quote that I love: "In God we trust, all others must bring data." And that's really the core of what Prophecy is doing, is going to be bringing you the information you need to make better decisions and really optimize your resources, give your employees what they need, and overall improving your productivity and quality. So this is going to have broad impacts on your business, not just in your data collection, but also in how you can operate more efficiently. Now, as we talk about that, let's actually dive right into the software and see what kind of information are we going to be getting. So a couple notes. I am running this directly from my Cloud Suite Industrial cloud environment. This is fully included. So this is part of the OS tech stack. We can support on-premise as well. So whether you're in the cloud, on-prem, or even in regulated industries, all that is possible with this prophecy. So at the highest level, the information you're going to be getting is your overall equipment effectiveness. Those who aren't aware, that's OEE, overall equipment effectiveness. And it's a factor of availability, performance, and quality. Those three merge together for your OEE. And most companies strive for an 85% or better. Now, there's a lot of factors that go into those three factors that go into this. We're going to talk about how we capture all of those as part of the process. Now, one thing with Prophecy is we have unlimited interface devices. So you can have as many TVs, posted dashboards as you want with this. So this could actually be a TV in the operations office or even in the CEO's office where they can see how is the shop floor running and a live action display of what that is. This is, again, that data that's going to drive us to be better. Now, as an organization, as you're looking at this higher level, the plant manager needs to now be more responsive. Well, the good news is we have the plant manager covered. So the next kind of visual we have is actually, this is kind of an example of a live shop floor. So the shop floor here, you can actually see what's going on with all the various machines and exactly where they're located, what's running. Do we have a machine down? So we have two machines that are potentially having some issues here. Have some scrap being reported. All this is visually right there for the plant manager to see. He now knows when something's down and can address it at that time, not waiting until the end of the day to find out something did not go as planned. He's also seeing where scrap is happening. Do we need to investigate that? Overall, you're able to be much more responsive to your shop floor, not waiting for later news. Now, as the plant manager is even looking at this, there's also shop supervisors who might be, hey, you have something to help me make sure I'm on top of things. And yes, again, we have support for even the shop floor supervisors. Next one we have is this is what we call the CNC Andon. That's just our example. It could be any number of different types of machines, not just CNCs. But this is also where Prophecy really starts showing some uniquenesses here. There are other IoT solutions out there, but Prophecy is unique that we are already directly integrated with Cloud Suite Industrial. So we're actually seeing that here. We're seeing what the machines are doing, but also seeing what's the job order that they're connected to. Now we're making this connection. As production happens, we're able to see if there's a quality issue, tying it right to the job. We are also able to read the job information. So we know how long setup's supposed to take. We know how long production is supposed to take. And if we go over those, we now know. As a supervisor, you can walk over to the machine, quickly diagnose what's going on, maybe expedite an improvement project, and you just sped up your whole plan, do, check, act cycle. Now, as we talk about that, also we have some history we can go to. So each of these can have what we call a machine card. This is actually now where we're going to get all the data from the machine, not only the current status as terms of spindle speed, spindle load, but also that history. So what's our uptime, downtime? All this is being calculated. This is right here that for the minutes in the day we have, hey, half of our time is up, the other half is down. Now we need to address that downtime quickly and effectively. Through this, we are also able to keep track of the total time. Our biggest issue here is our broken tooling. With that information in hand, you and your teams can go and address the problems, understand what's wrong, and really go accelerate that improvement cycle I mentioned. So their plan, do, check, act, faster and faster. And you can even get that ongoing tracking. Did you have that positive impact that you were looking for? So that's really how we're going to collect this data and drive to those data-based decision making, and all part of the story here. Pause for a quick minute. Anything in the chat yet for questions?
No,
Nothing in the chat, Kyle, but one thing that to note for our
Yep.
audience is the with prophecy, works very well with sightline CSI, right? It's bi-directional communication to pull in info. But additional to working with Sightline, it also can work without Sightline. Prophecy is a standalone software that can pull in this type of data that we've been looking at here to make decisions without Sightline or with older versions of Sightline in general. It can always bring the values of the plant floors.
Yep. Fantastic observation, Ben. Thank you very much. So, as you may have seen what's going on, let's dive into some of the details. Now, how do we make all this happen? So what we just saw is we have ways of connecting the shop floor to the CEO, the COO, maybe even some of the other members of the team. But it goes beyond that. We can talk machines to operators. We can even talk to other individuals by sending notifications out through Ion to really get everyone on the same page, optimizing production, being responsive. So just through some equipment automation. That's really where we work with. So the way we do this is we connect many different elements of that machine connection experience. So we can plug right into the machine. We can work with, again, Cloud Suite Industrial Sightline, also with Factory Track. We're also working with the data lake, working on some of the AI ML elements that are coming out in the environment, as well as our analytics. And this is even connecting into your team through email, through your mobile devices such as text, or even the Infor Go app. All of this is now part of this where we can all connect with and work while hitting, Andon boards, other analytics, just all kinds of monitoring. It's a very complete solution. And we do this by having a solution that's going to be now gathering information at an incredible speed of rate. This is real-time live, gathering this and then kind of processing this information, presenting it to you in meaningful ways. Because that's the other part of it. Data is great, but make sure you can interpret it and work with it is really the key. So how do we do this? That's kind of the next question you might think, okay, how? Well, first of all, we can connect right to the PLC. Many machines are able to plug in, or if you have custom equipment that are built on Allen Bradley or our Siemens technology, all that is things that we can work with. Now, if you have a machine that is too old to have a PLC, we have ways of managing that as well. So we can either do any kind of a sensoring around the machine to capture it. The other thing that we're really doing for a lot of customers is just putting a, strapping a light bar right on to the stack light. And we'll talk a bit more about that. This is kind of something we're doing for a very quick time to value. We're just going to go on this, we're just going to connect there and we're off and running. Now, as we look at then the operator experience, what do they have? So the operator is being connected through what we call an operator interface. This is going to bring all of their sightline data to them. It's going to have their work queue. So their dispatch list is going to be virtual for them. They're going to have instructions and drawing support, able to track their setup versus production and scrap and downtime, and all the machine is supporting them in that. Drives the Andon boards we saw, and even your asset health cards. So we talked about, I mentioned that stack lake. So this is really what we're doing, is we have a bar we strap on, and this is our basic level of machine connectivity. We don't need to go into the machine electronics, just right on top there. And those stack lights give you an incredible amount of information. Is the machine running? Is the machine down? Are they in setup? All that has a impact on the knowledge that you're getting. So here's just an example then of kind of what the stack light can do. And then also the stats that you can get from this one stack light, all the stats that you're getting in terms of uptime, downtime, failures. The operator interface can help kind of fill in why a machine is down. But it's just that simple to get things up and running. Now, as we go into the situation, we are capturing the downtime. Let's jump over to the system to actually see what that looks like. So we do have a downtime. What's going to happen then is you'll be able to get a downtime ribbon. Let me jump to a time frame that I know there's some data here for us to look at. And what's going to happen is we actually get a ribbon of here's the uptime, downtime for the machines. And we can actually stack as many of this as we want to for your equipment so you can have a full list. And of course, the green is the uptime and the red is the downtime. Now, as maybe we've done, operators going, we forgot to log what that downtime is. This is where we're going to come back and give you the chance to really classify all this downtime. All you have to do is click on the downtime. If the operators came back and say, "Hey, this is because I had to a material shortage," I can just log that, save that. Now my data is updated, and now I have that tracking. Again, that's back to the data. So now you can make business decisions based on the real time and the real data of what's happening in the shop floor. So that's kind of the quick and easy way of going through this. Now, as you continue to gather the information, maybe we want to go beyond stack lights. We want to have that true machine connectivity. Let's actually see what that looks like. This is an example of one of our operator interfaces. And this is, I'm just going to go online right here. This is actually a Haas CNC, something that we work with quite a bit. We can already see kind of as it's there what's going on. I think it went to sleep on me a little bit. So let me do a refresh to get it going again. And now we are online and should be, this is now going to get us going. So as we're now in an online status, we can actually see some of the batch process here. What's going on? We're going to be able to capture any kind of a cycle time. What's going on? Have any kind of a setup instructions, also the OEE. So there, it woke up on me. Machine finally turned on. You can go through, and I'm just going to select a different job order to work with. That's, again, your dispatch list of the operators. And now I can start my setup time. Now, as by tracking the setup time, this is now going to be that real setup time. Now, in the past, you may have had a kiosk situation where the operator has to walk back and forth, so you just forgot about that. You just didn't worry about it. As part of Prophecy, as I said earlier, you have unlimited interface devices. What that means is there's no licensing impact to put a tablet in everyone's hand. So your operators, whether it's one operator for one machine or one tablet per machine, or even one tablet for an operator walking around, they can actually go in and capture all this information right from a tablet. Once they're done with setup, we can go right into a run. We can also automatically trigger that based on the status of the machine. Again, we're plugged into that. Now we're in a running mode. We're actually start tracking our progress. Now, a couple things we're incorporating with. One is we can read actually your plan in Cloud Suite Industrial, your quality plan in Cloud Suite Industrial. We're fully tied in there. We'll tailor it a bit. But as we're walking through this part has a drawing associated with it. So we can pull right up a drawing. This is going to have a 20 millimeter plus minus 10%. And that's a critical thing for us to remember on this because it knows every 5 parts we need to stop and check. So we're going to go and we'll just put in a measurement and we're just going to check the part. This is now we're going to keep track. Hey, I did my quality check. What was the value? And since it passed, we're just going to keep on moving on with the process. That's all there is to it. That's that inline quality checks. You're going to make sure your process is still in tolerance and producing those good parts you may need. Now, as we walk through this, maybe the machine is going to have an issue. And in this case, as part of our simulation, we're going to now have that pump pressure is going to start climbing. That does happen. Now, as this works through, it is going to realize, hey, problem, machine is down. This does a lot for us as well. So think about in terms of machine goes down. If the operator has to go find help, that's time away from the machine. What we want to go for is actually a situation now where the the operators don't have to go find help. The help comes to them. So I actually, when that happens, I just got an email that we have a high pump pressure, and it actually disabled the entire. Now this is an email that goes out. So you could have be an email, you could have it be a text message. It can even show up on some of your dashboards you may have. We actually have a dashboard for this. Show you kind of what that looks like as well. We actually have now an alarm right here. This is the alarm that just went off for that machine. Hitting the dashboards real time. Maintenance team comes running and they can now work on addressing the piece of equipment. So carrying out this little story we're on right now, maintenance comes over, they can go through, they can figure out what happened and then resume production. All this is now, think about this from your operator's perspective. This is now live. Operators are getting the help they need. Your machines are getting back up and running all the sooner, but you also have the data as to why things went down. Well, now my pump pressure has returned to normal. As the machine gets rebooted, a operator loads up some more equipment here, and then we can get up and running again. That's just kind of an idea of kind of the flow the operator might encounter as they work with the machine. So this goes off to, again, we talked about the notifications, but really keeps the workers all connected together. All right. Are we still good in the chat?
Yes.
Okay. Well, so that's kind of the operator experience. And now we're back up and running. Okay. Perfect.
There actually was a question that came in
Yep.
specifically wondering if there were dashboarding for Six Sigma.
Yeah, that is a great question. So we do support some native dashboarding within Prophecy here. We can take a look at our scrap. So we're going to get some standard scrap reporting. We're able to get those scrap rates. Better yet, though, coming out in the October uplift next week, there is going to be enhanced quality tracking within Clausen Industrial, where you can actually capture all that data, push it right to Data Lake, and then through the analytics, you'll be able to capture it there as well. So we do some native within there, but we're also feeding right into the data lake for that. And then that can be part of your burst solution. If you are using that at all, just kind of do a quick show as to what we're doing here in terms of even some of the quality. So where you can get your scrap rates, we can also set up charts with the actual upper and lower control limits, as well as the ACL or an AQL, trying to remember the correct acronym there. So hopefully that answers the question. All right. Great question. Let me just keep this moving on. We'll actually do a scrap here. I'll just put things a little outside the norm so we can watch what happens here in this process. And we just checked the part, and that is outside of tolerance. This is then going to now kick off a scrap. We'll pull right from your scrap reason codes here as well. So we'll just say this was an equipment issue. This came about as part of that little, what we had there. We can submit the scrap. If we wanted to, we can also interface with Bartender to print off a tag. So this could give you your red tag that then goes off. Maybe this can be reworked and such, but now we're back up and running after that one scrap. So that's kind of an example of how we're kind of capturing that information. And again, to the Six Sigma question, where we're actually can have some of those values for future reference. All right, and just like we, side note, just like what we had with the maintenance, I did actually just get the quality email as well. So we can send emails off for quality. So when something happens, again, the people can come running for help, and that's all there. I'll just keep this moving on in the background while we continue on with our presentation. So as we are now talking through this, we talked about downtime, talked about the visual management. Do want to give it a couple examples of other things that we've done for operator interfaces and kind of what we're kind of higher level, what is this interface going to do for you? So whenever we work with you, we have a built-in designer, allows you to personalize these for you and your team. Our goal here is to have a single screen experience. Operator turnover is a common issue. So as you bring new operators in, we want them up and using the system within hours, not days. That's why I have a single screen that's intuitive and fully encompassing. We're going to have the scrap, the direct access to document management, maintenance, and also supervisory alerts. Here's a couple, I want to go through a couple examples we've actually done. So these are live examples. The first one, this is some role forming, a role conversion, where we're actually now going to have two operators log on at the same time. We're able to scan the coils. Now we're going to talk about some of the, doing a material transaction with lot tracking. All that can be fully encapsulated within the shop floor experience here. Another one, we're actually having some kind of a line conversion, have some a printing press where we have the machine status, uptime, downtime. Also kind of working at some bulk transactions and any kind of variances we want to capture. Stamping presses, we've done a number of those as well. This is, where we're going to be tracking the up and down, the hits, those overall rates. Again, this is just reading it and then feeding the information back to Cloud Suite Industrial. Now, as we're working through all this, of course, now we're getting back to that core kind of that quote I brought up earlier. In God we trust, all others must bring data. So, of course, we want to talk now about metrics. Okay. As part of prophecy, we're going to be natively getting metrics right out of the system. So a couple of them that we're looking for is, job to ship time. Are we making the most of the time we have? Also, now we talked about overall equipment effectiveness. We also talk about overall labor effectiveness, OLE. We're looking more not at the machines, but also at the people themselves. Are they being fully utilized throughout their day? On the production side, are going to be able to look at parts per day. Are we hitting our quotas? Are we hitting our metrics? Are we falling short or exceeding what planned? And that's our planned actuals, looking at our scrap, as well as many optimization metrics. And then as we look at scrap as well, that the quality element of that, what's our scrap parts? What's the reason codes for those? Getting some of that basic Pareto information so your operations team can very quickly take action as for the shop floor. Now, as Cloud Industrial is advancing, one of the hot things to talk about right now is AI. And prophecy is definitely within that AI realm. Many applications, because that's AI is driven off of data, and prophecy is capturing an incredible amount of data. So what kind of data are we capturing for AI to use? Well, we're monitoring many parts. We're monitoring, electricity flow, pump pressure, spindle speeds, spindle load. That's a great thing to look at. So as we're able to capture all this information, we worked with Infor on a use case. And what this use case is we want to predict when our asset's going to fail. If we're in operations, we've all been caught by the unplanned downtime. Unplanned downtime is a killer. It affects your schedule, affects your delivery to your customers, and has many other cost implications other than repairing the machine. But if we can predict when the machine's going to have a failure and take preventative action against it, we're saving time, we're saving reputation, many other elements. So AI, we're going to use AI as a way to maybe predict when things are heading in the unfortunate direction. So the way Infor AI kind of works is we have a data lake. We're putting all the information into there and running through this AI tools. working with burst reports or even a homepage widget to now give us information when our machine's going to be having potentially failures. And this is all based on the sensor information, machine learning to understand what are your equipment's tendencies. Uh, if you see spindle load going up over time, might mean dull tooling. We can even go to the point where when do we need to change tooling? And that can improve, tooling life, machine life, and product quality. All this is then surfaced on a web page where you can, or on your burst pages where you can actually see the information as it's being generated. As it's working through, we're having this situation where, hey, the system's looking out, something triggers in there, and now we can actually have the system set up to take automatic action for us. So here's kind of what that would look like. It's going to start by the machine recognizing, hey, there's an issue coming. This is now going to feed right into an incident within Cloud Suite Industrial. That incident can also have a service order that gets assigned to the maintenance team. The maintenance team can then get that scheduled, work with your production schedulers to what's the great time to get in there. They can get in and address the machine before there's any further issues. So big use case here, a lot of value in this entire flow here. A quick minute just to actually questions on that, because typically when we talk about AI, questions do come up. And I do see there is one is there any system that finds and calculates the optimum level of production based on machine free time, customer demand? So that's actually APS is what's doing your calculations for you there. We work right with APS to pick up the schedule. That's kind of how we, working with Cloud Suite Industrial, it's capable of doing quite a bit. And we're going to work with that rather than duplicating it. So
Yeah, Kyle, what would be a good description of what APS stands for and what it is?
So APS, thank you, Ben. As I said, I've been a scheduling manager. So APS is advanced planning and scheduling. Your team at ESS can definitely help you with APS as it goes by, and that's going to help you, plan your production, plan your resources, and it is really one of the key differentiators of Cloud Suite Industrial. I lived and breathed it for many years, and it did quite a bit for me in making my job easier.
Yeah, and certainly the aspect that it relates to prophecy. Prophecy brings the data again.
Yeah.
That's where the knowledge of real time and historical use of machines and actual utilization allows for that dynamic nature of optimization, of where to move schedules, how to get product out that day, that week, and going forward.
Yep. And we can even push the shift exceptions. So when you do have a downtime, we're going to update the resource availability, trigger a scheduling regeneration. So then you have the latest and greatest schedule to meet your customers' needs. So that's kind of where we play into that real-time responsiveness for your overall schedule. Okay. So ending with kind of, hey, hey, Kyle, this is great. Can you let us know about anyone who's actually done this? So what I do want to do is actually go through a couple of our customer use cases. These are actually some of our current customers on Prophecy. Holman Locker, they are making locker rooms for typically, high-end locker rooms, that's something you might find in a pro sports stadium, maybe. Daniels Manufacturing Corporation has been a long time customer of ours. And actually, if you want to, a little tidbit hot off the press, I will be talking about Prophecy at the Sun Conference in February. And Daniels will be joining me for that. So a number of customers who are very happy with the overall solution. Couple of them in general, Eurocara makes the glass top plastics, and they really wanted to know the uptime, downtime for their 5 production lines. give them that live data so they can actually move forward with some like real-time displays. Engineers can see what's going on. And also the machines kind of notifying when production is finished so it can go on to the next operation. And high levels of automation. Another one, AdMan is one that has gone live with us. They are actually in the aerospace and defense field. And they were one of those real-time production transactions, but also the true material use. That was really key. We're integrating with their machines, the actual material being used, the lot numbers of the material, calculating all that, pushing that into Cloud Industrial for some very accurate requirements there, but keeping it very simple for the operators as well. The last one is Revolution Plastic. They do a blow molding of plastic bags and such. Again, this was where not only tracking the machine time but also the material usage. The big thing there is they were having $100,000 discrepancy materials that were now resolved by Prophecy, recording that true material usage coming right off of the machine. So that's kind of where kind of what we have done as a team. We are definitely love to talk with any of you more on this. If you have any examples of things we want to work through. Just saw a question pop up from Rob. How are the operator entering materials? That is a great question. We sometimes have operators manually entering materials being used, but also that we're an IoT solution, we're often reading scales. So we're actually reading a weight. So if you're in a plastic injection molding, we're reading the weight coming off of the scale to know the exact material being used. So it can be manual, but it can also be automated. Arvin, going back to your question, how can this system support lean manufacturing? It supports it very well with the Plan, Do, Check, Act. If you're looking some more at value stream mapping, we're definitely providing data, the real data to populate your value stream maps. Sightline or Cloud Industrial itself has many other areas that can also support lean manufacturing, including Kanban. I'll leave the ESS team to help you with that. And then last question I have from Riza is Prophecy and Burst go in tandem as Prophecy can be standalone? So Prophecy can work standalone. Burst is part of the Cloud Suite Industrial overall solution there. So again, being fully integrated with that, we're leveraging what's there. We're trying not to recreate the wheel. So that's part of that overall package there. Prophecy just has some analytics on its own. If you are an on-prem situation, just want some basic metrics there. So hopefully that answered the question. Great questions though. Anything else that we can talk through before we wrap up today?
Yeah, I would say that one thing that Prophecy brings to the table, and we've hopefully had a chance to demonstrate some of this today, is again the data. So while making it easy for operators so they don't have to move away from their work center through providing data for long-term analytics and machine learning models, through gathering, because of our underlying data acquisition strategy, we can get it from machines directly, things such as materials used, how long a job's been running for, really make it so that with the data, you can improve your operations both in the immediate short term, but also set yourself up to have data so you know where to improve and how much you've improved going forward through an historical analysis of the data that Prophecy has been able to gather and bring forward so you can make decisions.
Thank you, Ben. That's a great point. Again, it's back to we're getting to the real truth of what's going on. That's actually one of the reasons why Prophecy is named as such, because one of the definitions of prophecy is truth telling, and this data is definitely going to tell you the truth, and that is it has had an impact for many companies in that. Well, with that being said, I know I'm sure everyone has busy days ahead of themselves. Sherry, do you have any closing comments at all?
Yes, but uh, okay, we didn't get a new question. So
Oh, we do?
yeah,
Okay.
no, yeah. Thank you, Ben and Kyle. That was a great, insightful presentation, and thanks to everyone for joining us today. So we hope you found the session valuable. So if you have any follow-up, as Kyle already said, any question, or if you need more information, feel free to reach out to us. And I've also, let me send that, shared a link in the chat where you can see the full list of upcoming webinars as a part of our 50th celebration. So thanks again and have a great day.